Hello everyone, Ronan here, and welcome back to Dress Art 3D. Today, I'd like to do something a little different. Rather than showing you another painting tutorial, I want to talk about the design philosophy behind one of the most important and personally loved characters in the Eternal Siege universe, Maria Della Lacrima Dolorosa, the original spark in my mind for the Eternal Siege. When I design a character, I never begin with armor or weapons. I begin by asking a much simpler question. Who is this person? Because if I can answer that, everything else begins to make sense. Maria is not simply another fantasy heroine. She isn't the strongest, she isn't the fastest, she isn't even the most dangerous. What makes Maria unique is that she has endured. Starting from the name, Maria, one of the most common yet most beautiful and humble names given in my country, Malta. Maria, the name of Our Lady Mother of God, a name representing humility and the beauty of a pure soul. That's what I wanted my Maria to be, humble yet beautiful. She has lived through 5 centuries of an endless hidden war of faith, carrying memories that no ordinary human being was ever meant to carry, but still enduring thanks to her humility and faith in God, which in a way have preserved her inner and outer beauty. That became the foundation of her entire design. These humility and beauty principles should already show in her body proportions, which are kept athletic, yet not exaggerated like the classical big breast. Another such feature of simple beauty is her long black hair, which is one of the most common hair types, yet remains classically beautiful. When people hear that Maria is over 500 years old, many immediately imagine someone who has become almost godlike or immortal. That was never my intention. Maria is not immortal. She can still die. A bullet through the brain or the heart will kill her just like anyone else. If she suffers enough cumulative damage, eventually her body can no longer recover. What the Eternal Siege and the Breach changed was not her mortality. It changed how quickly she heals. She can recover from wounds that would kill almost anyone else. Broken bones heal rapidly. Deep cuts close. Even severed limbs can sometimes be reattached if recovered quickly enough. In the most extreme situations, her body can slowly regenerate lost tissue. Although this may take months of complete inactivity, she heals. She does not live forever. I think that distinction is extremely important because every battle still matters. Every decision still has consequences. She has survived 5 centuries, not because she cannot die, but because she has learned how not to. That leads directly into the next part of her design, observation. One of Maria's greatest weapons isn't her sword, pistol, or supernatural healing. It is her ability to observe. Long before she attacks, she watches, she studies, she anticipates. She notices danger before it fully develops. That ability began when she was still a young girl and only became stronger, more refined over centuries of experience. I often describe her philosophy using the words taught to her by her mentor, whose name must be kept secret for now. Faith before fury. That single sentence shaped almost every decision I made while designing her. Maria doesn't rush into battle. She doesn't fight because she's angry. She fights because someone must protect those who do not even know the danger exists. Even after hundreds of years of suffering, she has never allowed hatred to become her identity. This is testament to her greatest superpower, which is faith. And know that through it, she is doing the greater good. Have you noticed something unusual about her armor? It isn't polished or pristine. It's heavily weathered. That was completely intentional. Most fantasy heroes receive brighter and cleaner armor as they become stronger. Maria is the opposite. Her armor carries history. Every dent represents a battle survived. Every scratch tells us that she has stood where others have fallen and faced danger no one can even imagine. This isn't neglected armor. It is well-maintained armor that has simply seen more battles than most people could imagine. To me, those imperfections tell her story better than polished steel ever could. One feature that many people might immediately notice is the exposed wound on the left side of her abdomen. That wound is perhaps the single most important visual element of the miniature. It is the only wound Maria has never been able to heal. 5 centuries have passed, thousands of battles, countless injuries. Yet this single wound remains. Its origin is something I must keep secret for now, because it is deeply connected to another major character within the Eternal Siege storyline. All I can tell you is that it is the cause of her blood tears Stigmata. One day you'll discover why. For now, it remains a mystery. Another important feature is the blood tears running from Maria's eyes. This isn't simply there for dramatic effect. Under extreme emotional or physical stress, Maria develops a form of stigmata and begins weeping tears of blood due to the extreme unnatural stress caused when she received the unhealable abdominal wound in the breach. Those tears possess extraordinary healing properties. She carefully collects them inside the 3 small containers mounted on her belt. At first glance, they almost appear to be trophies. They aren't. They're medicine. They're hope. Her own suffering literally becomes the source of healing for others. I always found something deeply beautiful about that idea, rooted in the Christian doctrine. The very thing that causes her pain becomes something capable of saving another person's life. These stigmata also conferred her the title of saint and caused much unwanted admiration and followers, even sometimes dangerous emulators that a humble Maria really does not want. Let's talk about her weapons. Maria carries 2 signature weapons. The first is Haven's Fall, her Celestium bastard sword, gifted to her after she successfully brought back the 2 land sharks to the Hearth of Faith. Rather than making the blade glow with exaggerated magical effects, I wanted the metal itself to feel different. You can see subtle deep blue and black reflections spreading even onto the nearby armor. The sword doesn't scream for attention. It quietly tells you that it is made from something lethal, that the rest of the world cannot produce. Ancient, sacred, different. Her second signature weapon is perhaps even more unusual. A Mauser C96 pistol. Immediately people begin asking questions. Why does someone wearing medieval armor carry a First World War pistol? That single object tells the viewer that the Eternal Siege isn't confined to one historical period or to our normal reality. It tells you this war reaches far beyond ordinary. And that's exactly what I wanted. Something else I tried very hard to capture was Maria's appearance. She has watched armor give way to uniforms, horses replaced by engines, letters replaced by screens. She has seen cultures change. She has watched fashion evolve hundreds of times. So yes, she adapts. She dresses appropriately for whatever era she finds herself living in. She understands modern society. She understands changing beauty standards. But despite adapting externally, she never abandons simplicity. Her appearance remains beautiful but measured, elegant without vanity, attractive without provocation. Because for Maria, beauty is never meant to draw attention to herself. It should instead reflect humility, dignity, and the faith she has carried throughout her life. I wanted viewers to look at her and immediately feel that balance. Strength without arrogance, beauty without excess or it being imposed as a measure. Perhaps my favorite part of her design isn't actually something physical. It's her expression. She doesn't look angry. She doesn't look triumphant. She doesn't look bloodthirsty. She looks reflective, humble, and tired. Almost melancholic. That expression carries centuries of memories. She has won battles. She has lost friends. She has survived when others did not. That weight never leaves a person. Yet she endures because she has faith that she is doing God's will, that is, the greater good. I wanted her face to communicate all of that before anyone ever reads a single page of her story. This particular miniature represents Maria after more than 500 years of service during the hidden war of the Eternal Siege. She is already an experienced veteran, already carrying the scars, both visible and invisible, of centuries of conflict. But the Eternal Siege itself continues. History never stands still, neither does war. For that reason, I am currently designing a completely new version of Maria. Not because she suddenly becomes stronger or receives magical power-ups, but because the battlefield itself has changed. The Eternal Siege eventually reaches the modern world. The enemies evolve. Technology evolves. The missions become different from those fought centuries earlier. Maria must adapt. Her armor becomes more advanced. Her equipment becomes more specialized. Her weapons evolve to meet entirely new threats. Yet the woman wearing that equipment remains the same. The same faith, discipline, and compassion. That continuity is incredibly important to me, because equipment may evolve, character should not. If you're considering adding Maria to your collection, I honestly believe this version will always remain one of the most special. This miniature captures the Maria who carried the Eternal Siege through centuries of hidden war, the veteran, the survivor, the witness who endures. When the modern Eternal Siege version is finally revealed, I think the two miniatures will complement each other beautifully. One represents where her journey has brought her. The other represents where that journey continues. Together, they'll tell the story of a single woman who changed very little herself, while the world around her transformed completely. When I sculpt characters, I always hope people remember them long after they've put the miniature back in the cabinet. If someone looks at Maria years from now and still remembers why she carries that wound, why her armor is damaged, why she cries tears of blood, then I feel I've succeeded, not only as a sculptor, but as a storyteller, which is my greatest reward. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this look into the design philosophy behind Maria Della Lacrima Dolorosa, let me know in the comments. I'd love to create more videos exploring the stories, symbolism, and artistic decisions behind the characters of the Eternal Siege universe. Until next time, thank you for your support, and I'll see you in the next video.